I remember the first time someone told me about the food delivery app Gorillas. Right after that, I ordered groceries through the app, and in less than 10 minutes, the guy was at the door. The experience exceeded all the expectations I had up to that point. It almost felt like teleportation. You may have had a similar experience that exceeded your expectations the first time you used Uber or Airbnb or drove a Tesla. Hi, I'm Felix, and in this video I show you a very simple way to develop offerings that truly amaze your customers. And excited customers don't just like your product, they love it. They stay loyal to your brand longer, tell others about it, and spend more money with you. In short, they become the customers everyone wants. One way to do this is to make your offer 10 times better than the competition. The question is, what exactly does 10 times better mean? And is Uber really 10 times better than a cab? Or Airbnb 10 times better than staying in a hotel? Not really. This advice of being 10 times better is all well and good, but it doesn't help you come up with new ideas in a practical way to make your offering unique. In a workshop I did with a laundry detergent company some time ago, an employee of that company suddenly asked, what if our customers didn't have to sort their laundry by color anymore? It was an ingenious question that brought interesting new ideas for solutions. But what's the best way to trigger creative what-if questions? How do you come up with the one what-if question that really brings new ideas? If you watch this video until the end, you end up knowing a technique that's like what if on steroids. An important principle that is often neglected in creative exercises is anchoring. You might know anchoring from marketing and sales. When we see a pair of shoes that normally cost 200 euros but today sells for 99 euros, the pair of shoes seems relatively cheap to us. The 200 euros act as an anchor here. Anything cheaper than 200 euros seems like a good deal. But anchoring also plays a big role in creative tasks. The more radical and creative examples you show someone to inspire them, the more creative the ideas that person then generates. Former half-time bodybuilder and co-founder of Airbnb, Brian Chesky, has developed a very interesting technique around which his team have developed the service. It's called the 7-star design principle. With this technique, you start at 5 stars, as you know it from most rating platforms. Then you go up to 10 or 11 stars. The goal is to come up with customer experiences that go beyond the usual 5 stars and therefore clearly exceed customer expectations. This forces you to think out of the box step by step. Brian gives a great example of how this technique works.
What if you booked an Airbnb and we sold you a product and you didn't leave 5 stars, but you emailed the company asking for a 6 star because the product was so good you had to almost go above and beyond. And so we imagined, when we design products, we imagine, okay, this is what customers expect. They expect to have a 5-star experience. And then we basically ask the intellectual question. So let's take airport pickup, for example. What's a 5-star like check-in experience on Airbnb? The 5-star check-in experience is they give you the address, you get to the house, you knock on the door, and they're there. And they're open the door and they let you in the house. And that's 5-star. And anything worse than that, you start to leave like 4 stars as you call them. They're like 5 minutes away, and you'll probably leave a 4-star. And like 1 star is obviously like they never showed up. So the bar is kind of low, like you knock on the door and they open the door. That's a really low bar. So we ask, well, what's a 6-star? Well, a 6-star is they probably pick you up at the airport. So you don't knock on their door, they actually pick you up at the airport. So what's a 7-star review? You can actually play, it's kind of fun. Well, 7 stars, they don't pick you at the airport, they send a limousine, and you open the limousine door, and they know that you like, I don't know, Pringles. That was a weird example. This is like improv, so we're rolling with it. So there's Pringles there, and there's like coconut water, and they know you are into surfing, and there's some surfing magazine, even though you're in San Francisco, you're not gonna surf, that's fine. And so that's a 7-star. So what's an 8-star pickup? Well, an 8-star check-in is, there's a you get to the airport and they're like we're coming, and they're like, where are you? And all of a sudden you see like a giant elephant, and an elephant is walking by the gate, the terminal, and there's a parade in your honor, and you get on top of the elephant and you are paraded away. And you said, well, what's a 9-star check-in? If that's an 8-star check-in, how do we get to 9 stars? A 9-star check-in is you get off the plane and you don't even the moment you step off the plane, there are 5,000 screaming 13-year-old women and boys, and they're holding signs. I call it the Beatles check-in. It's the Beatles in 1964 coming to America, and they're just cheering for you, screaming for you, and you basically, they follow you and they do a press conference in the front yard of your Airbnb. And so then what's a 10-star check-in? Well, I can go to 30, but I won't, because it'll be a long day. And the 10-star is you get to the airport, and there's a little card, and it's got your name on it, and you're like, great, there's my ride, but you realize the person dressed in the limo suit is Elon Musk, and he just takes you to space. And so I've exaggerated to make a point. Usually we don't go all the way to 10, but the whole point is that, like, if what you need to do is just find 100 people to love you, then it's very easy to take for granted that the 5-star is what people expect. But to build something people love, you almost need to do something more than they expect. And so, like, every moment is an opportunity to do something slightly more than people expect.
The 10-star solution is probably never feasible, but it shifts the anchor. In the end, you should look at all the ideas generated and think about which ones you can implement, even if the implementation might be a bit different. Where's the sweet spot between viable experiences that nevertheless significantly exceed the 5 stars? Brian Chesky recommends targeting a 6 or 7-star experience eventually. I tried this method and learned that you can use it in 2 different ways. The first way is to use it as a creativity method for you or your team. You sit down with your people, think about what your offering should look like in order to delight customers. The second variant is to ask this question to your customers. People always say, don't ask your customers for new features or solutions. They typically quote Henry Ford. If I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, right? First of all, Henry Ford never said that. And second, the fact that this quote is nonetheless used over and over again is a sign of arrogance. It's a way of saying, I'm more creative than my customers. In fact, you can ask customers for better solutions. The challenge is to ask the right questions. But if you ask, what would a 6, 7 or 8-star solution look like to you? Then you're triggering your customers' creativity in all the right ways. Try it out. The results will amaze you. In the end, you get a lot of ideas. Again, of course, you have to see which ideas are feasible, but not so fast. It's best to ask why the person came up with these ideas. Maybe you will recognize something that lies behind the surface. What is your best method for creative solutions? How do you manage to develop offers that excite customers? Drop me a line in the comments and leave me a like if you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel to learn more about the psychology of innovation. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.